the Chrysler Center, where the #2 ranked and unbeaten Michigan Wolverines call home. Tonight, Super Wednesday on BTN, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, features the undefeated Wolverines going for history against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. A win for Michigan tonight, and they'll tie the best start in Michigan basketball history. Alongside Greg Kelser, I'm Kevin Kugler, and welcome inside the Chrysler Center. The starting five brought to you by Buffalo Wild Wings. Benny Parker, Ray Gallegos, Dylan Talley, Javon Shields, and Brandon Ubell for Nebraska. For Michigan, Trey Burke, Nick Stauskas, Tim Hardaway Jr., Glenn Robinson III, and Jordan Morgan. Certainly, Greg, a very potent offensive five for the Michigan Wolverines, and Tim Miles and the Huskers going to have their hands full tonight with this Michigan squad in his first season as Nebraska head coach. The head man for the Huskers trying to figure out a way to slow down John Beilein's 6th Michigan team and his best Michigan team in his now 6 years here. They've started Big Ten play with 90 points in each of their first 2 games.
That's the big thing for Nebraska tonight. What are they going to do to slow down the Wolverine attack led by one of the best point guards in the country, Trey Burke?
Ed Hightower, Ted Valentine, Jim Shipper are officials, and we're underway in Ann Arbor with Nebraska in control of the tip. The Huskers, almost the bizarro Michigan as far as offense is concerned. They've scored very little in Big Ten play, just 42.5 points per game in their first 2 conference games.
Yeah, that's not going to get it. It's a part of my keys for the game for Nebraska. They have got to figure out a way to score. Michigan will get 40.5.
Stauskas, one of the tremendous young freshmen for this Michigan squad, and Stauskas is fouled by Gallegos on his way to the basket, and he'll get 2 free throws. Your keys for Nebraska.
Well, you got to limit Burke's effect. His scoring, but his ability to help others score, and then points by any means if you're the Cornhuskers.
Michigan at the free throw line. They don't go a lot to the line. Neither of these teams do, really, as Stauskas hits the first free throw. And the keys for Michigan.
Pressure defense and rebound. That will allow them to get into their transition game where they can be lethal. That's a big part of their 94 game in the last 2. Getting it up and down the floor.
1 for 2 in that trip as Talley will bring it up for Nebraska. Best scorer on this Husker team, Dylan Talley, 13th in the conference this year in scoring. Parker against Burke. The freshman, Benny Parker. Big task tonight as Shields inside, and he's really been a nice spark for Nebraska in the starting lineup of late.
Yeah, he's healthy now. He had the elbow injury that slowed his progress early in the season. That was good offense by Nebraska. If you can take your time and get high percentage shots going towards the rim, it will help in your effort to put points on the board against Michigan.
Second start tonight for Shields for Nebraska. Michigan nearly turns it over, able to keep the possession. Burke. Hardaway Jr. for 3. Rebound inside. Morgan battling for it, and he's got it for Michigan. Trey Burke, the Big Ten Player of the Week, the National Player of the Week. Hardaway, and now to Stauskas. One thing Nebraska prides itself on, they do defend. As Burke launches the jumper and hits the 3.
Well, the thing about Burke, he's so good shooting the basketball. He commands your respect in that area. But the moment you play upon him to take that away, that's when he's going by you, getting into the lane, finishing at the basket, and setting up his teammates.
Gallegos, the 3 on the other end for Nebraska, no good, and Stauskas the rebound.
I can't emphasize how important it is that Nebraska takes good shots tonight. Number 1, Michigan will not give you a lot of second shots. You got to make sure that one is a good one, even if it means working that shot clock down under 10.
And Nebraska's not afraid to work that shot clock down if they have to. Shortens the game, too, and shortens the possessions for Michigan.
Exactly. That would be beneficial for them tonight, I think.
Glenn Robinson the 3rd. Nice spin to the basket.
Young man's coming into his own, learning more and more about himself and what he can do at this level, and I think his confidence is growing. Glenn Robinson III.
Talley with 20 on the shot clock. Plenty of time for Nebraska. Trailing 5 too early. Here's Ubell. Parker on the drive to the basket. The floater is good, and a foul. But it's going the other way. No basket. Wave it off. The foul going on Parker.
Nebraska foul, number 3.
This was close. As Parker, you can see he was clearly aware that there might be a defender coming over to get in his way, draw a charge. So he tried to slow it up and go straight up, but his momentum took him right into Stauskas, who had moved into position. Good defensive play.
Robinson inside. Cannot connect, and Ubell the rebound.
Boy, in Robinson, you have a guy that you have to be very careful with along that baseline. Gets a lot of those drop-off feeds, and he is a high flyer and a great finisher.
Ubell, the long 2 for Nebraska, no good, and the rebound to Hardaway. Burke for 3. A little bit strong, but an offensive rebound and a second chance for Michigan. A good shooting team this year, this Michigan squad, but there's a turnover. They don't have many of them, but they get one there as Shields drives it to the basket. And the rebound off the miss to Burke.
Probably held onto that basketball a little too long so that one defender back could cover 2 and even 3 guys that time. That was not a well-run fast break by Nebraska.
Huskers 1 for 5 from the floor. Michigan 2 for 6. Both teams starting a little cold. Talon. Matched up with Morgan. He'll drive it on the big man. Can't get the roll, but he'll go to the line. Timeout on the floor. A slow start offensively for both teams. Michigan with the early lead. A 5-2 lead early for the second-ranked Michigan Wolverines here in Ann Arbor. Alongside Greg Kelser, I'm Kevin Kugler. It's great to have you with us tonight. And neither team off to a blazing start, but Michigan with the early lead.
Well, Nebraska will take this start. Obviously, the closer they can, the more they can shrink this game, the better for them. But Michigan will not be fazed by the slow start. They've started slow before, and they still get into the 80s and 90s.
Well, let's take a look at today's All-State Mayhem Index, and the mayhem is all about offense for this Michigan squad. 82 points per game, shooting 52.2% on the year. That's second in the nation, and the point differential is huge. They're beating teams by 22.5 points per game. And in conference play, they've just continued to keep the pressure on, scoring over 90 points in back-to-back Big Ten games for the first time since 99-2000. This is a team that has the ability to score in bunches and score very quickly.
Well, they're explosive, and case in point, in the Iowa game 7 minutes ago, they only have 17 points. They still end up with 95. So you can never, ever feel like you can let your guard down against the Wolverines.
1-point ball game as Burke goes to work for Michigan. Nice bounce inside to McGarry, who cannot connect on the jam. Boy, Sunday was just a dunk fest here for Michigan. First one goes awry tonight.
Maybe it's me, but this is my second game in the Chrysler Center, and it's the second time that McGarry has blown a dunk. I like him, but his lift has failed him twice now with me in the building.
Maybe it's you, though, as you said. Burke inside, got his man Parker in the air, and he'll go to the line for a three-point play.
Sets a nice screen and rolls, goes up, maybe just a little too far out for the two-handed, the two-foot jump, but
on Sunday there was no problem against Iowa. Flushing it repeatedly against the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, at one point it looked like a slam dunk contest as everybody, including Nick Stauskas, got into the act. Glenn Robinson III, one of the best in the league already at thumping the basketball. So much of this, though, comes off the presence of Trey Burke. He sets his teammates up beautifully. He takes care of the basketball, and his passing is usually pinpoint.
Burke's bucket a moment ago broke an 0 for 4 drought for Michigan from the floor. They lead it by 3. David Rivers off the Nebraska bench up top to Ubell. Now Gallegos, the pull-up jumper. Gallegos can't connect. Inside, Shields with the finish. And a chance to go to the line for a three-point play.
I really like Shields. I think he, started to break loose a little bit in a non-conference game against Jacksonville State. Played in that game, scored, gained confidence, and now is a vital part of what they're trying to do. That was an excellent offensive rebound and putback, and a chance now to tie the score.
That broke a drought for Nebraska of almost 5 minutes on that make by Shields, but he misses the free throw, and Robinson with the rebound. 1-point ball game early going here in Ann Arbor. Hardaway Jr., the elbow jumper. A little bit strong, and there's Shields again for the rebound. He's averaged 8.5 rebounds per game in the first 2 conference games.
He's looked good, and that was a solid block out by several players, and that's what Nebraska's got to have in this game. They've got to be fundamentally sound, blocking out, and they've got to hit their free throws, too. They're off to a little slow start in that area.
Well, get involved in the Twitter conversation around our game. Go to btn.com/connect. Don't forget to use the hashtags. You can find them in the lower right corner of our score strip. Huskers and Michigan, the hashtags tonight. Apply them to all your tweets, please. Gallegos. Alley out in front of the Michigan bench with 6 to shoot. Rivers with 3 to shoot, able to lay it in, and Nebraska takes the lead.
He looked a little like Burke on that play. Penetration and a beautiful drop-off for a layup. And look, folks, Nebraska's leading.
And you mentioned working for a good shot. They used almost the entire shot clock, but they got a good shot.
They've got to be able to sustain that. Discipline on the offensive end.
Hardaway Jr. on the drive all the way to the basket, and he gets the easy 2.
Nice body control, too, by Hardaway Jr. Saw the defense coming over trying to pick up that charge. He just took his time, little slide step to avoid the contact.
Already 4 lead changes in this first half, a 9-8 lead for Michigan now. Nice pass and catch. Ubell with the finish.
The finish was nice, but even more impressive was the post speed. Shields put it in there so that Ubell could get it, and only Ubell, and that helped with the shot conversion.
10-9 lead for Nebraska in the early going. Burke looking around the McGarry screen. 13 to shoot, and Hardaway Jr.'s got to back it out. Now Burke to work. Hardaway Jr. at the foul line. Got the floater.
That's a pretty good shot to get with the shot clock winding down, let me tell you. You know, you think that with Michigan and Burke, so much goes through him, but guys like Hardaway can create for themselves. He showed it there, patience, poise, with the clock winding down.
Huskers 3 for their last 3 from the floor as they try to keep pace with Michigan. Right now, though, tempo favors Nebraska a little bit.
I think so.
Ubell against McGarry. And now 4 for their last 4 as Nebraska regains the lead.
You know, I was impressed with Brandon Ubell the first time I saw him. He can score the ball, and he shows there that he too can put it on the floor with the left hand and get something done on the dribble.
4 points, 2 rebounds for Ubell as Robinson hits the jumper, and Michigan back in front. Back and forth through the first 8 minutes plus.
Good basketball game so far.
Dylan Talley. Ubell, and now Rivers. Huskers at 9-6 on the year, 0-2 in Big Ten Conference play. They've struggled to score in conference really the last 2 years as Shields drives baseline and cannot connect, and the rebound to Stauskas. Burke all the way to the basket. Rebound McGarry. He'll drive it back up, no good. McGarry again. But strong work inside, and then a foul as Robinson will go to the free throw line. 10:59 remaining in the first half. Nebraska and Michigan slugging it out through the first 9 minutes. And a back-and-forth ball game. And some good work inside from Mitch McGarry, keeping it alive. Free throws for Michigan when we return. BTN Basketball is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, your destination for Big Ten Network games. Also in part by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. Alongside Greg Kelser, Kevin Kugler back with you from the Chrysler Center. And huge news for a big man earlier today here in Ann Arbor. Taylor Lewan, the terrific left tackle for the Michigan football team. Surprising a lot of folks, announcing he's coming back for his senior season. He'd sent in his tapes to the NFL advisory board. They advised him he'd be a high first-round pick, and he said, you know what? The tradition at Michigan is guys come back and play. Jake Long and John Jansen, a couple of guys that he mentioned as guys that came back, and so he's going to come back for his final year and help anchor what will be a pretty young offensive line for Brady Hoke's team next year, but a lot of excitement around here today with that announcement.
Yeah, they'll count on him for great leadership, and, I liked a lot of his reasons. He says, I can play in the NFL for years to come, but only one more year here in college, so you have to respect that decision.
Rivers working around Andre Almeida off the Nebraska bench. He missed Sunday's game against Wisconsin with an ankle injury as Ubell drives, and a huge swat from McGarry.
McGarry's been a tower of strength in there, both ends of the floor, with his rebounding and there with the shot blocking.
Burke's three in transition, no good, and it's out of bounds. And it's going to belong to Michigan, rather. McGarry didn't touch it before it could get out.
Boy, McGarry has a motor. I mean, he has a non-stop engine going. Here he comes over the beautiful feed and, block. He keeps it in bounds, which is important, and that allows Michigan to go in transition.
And his teammates call him the monster. He's been a monster early on in this game.
Good play for me.
Burke with Michigan up 3, looking for more. And Robinson the third. His first career double-double against Iowa on a game you saw here on BTN this weekend. Karis LeVert, 7 to shoot for Burke. Burke, nice bounce inside. Nice catch by McGarry, but the block from Almeida and good defense by Nebraska.
Wow, that was close. Nice little bounce speed from Burke in a crowd. And Nebraska with the block from behind, which is tough to do without getting contact and committing a foul. But look at this, the loose ball, and from behind, Almeida blocks that ball.
So Nebraska down 3, looking for some offense. And Gallegos had some problems with it in the corner. Huskers will keep it. Stauskas returning as Tim Hardaway Jr. gets a breather. Jordan Morgan off the Michigan bench and getting his feet back on the floor and giving McGarry a breather. We watched earlier today, and Michigan fans are keeping a close eye as John Horford tries to make his way back from an injury suffered in mid-December against West Virginia. He was out on the floor, fully dressed, going through warm-ups tonight. As Gallegos fires the 3 and airballs it. Gallegos has really been struggling from outside the arc in Big Ten play. 4 for 20 from 3 coming in to tonight's game.
Nebraska keeps dodging bullets, but in this game, bad shots, poor shot selection is like a turnover. You're not going to be able to rebound it, and it's just going to springboard Michigan's running game.
Gallegos nearly with the turnover there. Rivers. Shot clock at 10. And a whistle and a travel. Boy, great defense by Michigan, swarming every time someone touched the ball. And there's Horford. Talked with him a little bit before the game, and he's getting close to coming back.
Also back in the game for Nebraska, number 31, Shavon Shields.
They'd love to see him back out there on the floor. If nothing else, adds to that depth in the post. Another talented body for John Beilein to run out on still the youngest team in the Big Ten.
Well, he'll add size, he'll add presence on the interior, rebounding, and defense.
Burke, the 3.
He is so lethal with the basketball in his hands. I mentioned his effect being he can get 18 points a game or more. He can get 7.5 assists a game or more, and he's not going to turn it over.
7 points already in this one. 3rd leading scorer in the Big Ten, and a 7-0 run for Michigan. Rivers, the fadeaway. And it's no good, and Nebraska goes into long droughts like this, and this is the wrong team to go into a drought against. They can score from anywhere on the floor as Burke, starting to feel it, has that one pinball out. Talley. Good defense by LeVert, stayed right in front of Talley.
It's been a while since Nebraska has been able to penetrate the lane and get something of quality near that basket.
Talley backing out for 3, and he hits a huge 3 for the Huskers.
Well, that was big. Talley gives them their 3-point shooting along with Gallegos. If they can hit their threes, it gives Nebraska a chance offensively in this game, or any game.
Came in shooting 35% from behind the arc for the year is Talley. Robinson. This job recovering by Rivers to block him off. Beautiful pass from Stauskas inside Morgan. And Nebraska grabs a loose ball.
You know, one thing I can see about Almeida in his defense, he's so big and burly and strong. It's hard to get the position that you really want catching the basketball in the post. He's going to bump you and keep you uncomfortable.
Gallegos in and out. 0 for 8 from 3 in his last 2 games. Stauskas for 3. And Talley the rebound.
He missed. He actually missed.
Hard to believe. Came in shooting 53.7%, second in the nation. He went 3 for 6 on Sunday, and it had it drop.
That's a slump.
That is. Huskers trying to find something offensively. Just 6 of 16 from the floor. Michigan, though, 7 of 21. That's the bigger story, because that's the team that's been shooting well all year. 2 to shoot. Talley's got to hurry. And he does not hit the rim. I'm not sure he knew the shot clock was winding down. So Nebraska turns it over, but the Huskers hanging around. 6:06 remaining first half. Michigan's lead is 3. Sunday night, it's the much-anticipated premiere of BTN's award-winning original, The Journey, Big Ten Basketball 2013, as we take a closer look at the premier basketball conference and the people who live it. Sunday at 8 Eastern, presented by Chase Freedom. And the gang from The Journey has been with Nebraska this week, both in Lincoln and here in Ann Arbor. And some of the Maze Rage got Journey T-shirts tonight and are proudly displaying them. What a great show. Cannot wait for Sunday night's premiere of The Journey. It was just wonderful television last year, and it will be again this year for sure.
Yeah, the inside looks are just amazing, fascinating. Stuff that you don't see and certainly wouldn't think about, you see in those presentations.
Here's Hardaway Jr. on the drive to the basket, cannot find the roll. Rebound, Shields falling down, and a whistle, and he's out of bounds. Hit the sideline as he tumbled down. So Michigan will keep the possession.
Here again, a loose ball, and the failure of Nebraska to get a clean defensive rebound. It's not killing them yet, but you know it'll become a factor if they can't figure out that aspect of the game. You have got to wipe the glass clean on the defensive end.
Well, they're missing opportunities with Michigan in a rare shooting slump, as Stauskas will go to the free throw line for a pair. The foul coming before the shot. No, they're going to count the bucket, and he'll go to the line for a chance at a three-point play.
And see, all of that is going to come as a result of the failure to get the defensive rebound. Stauskas showing that he can do more than just shoot three-pointers. He can put it on the floor and finish near the basket. Had that nice dunk with the left-hand dribble the other night against Iowa.
Only the second bucket in the last 10 field goal attempts for Michigan. But 9 points off offensive rebounds. To your point, Nebraska unable to get that clean board, and Michigan scored 9 points off the rebounds. And you see 8-1 on the offensive glass. Nebraska down 6. As Gallegos goes to work against Glenn Robinson III. The 3 for Gallegos. And there's his first 3 since the Ohio State game to open up conference play.
That has to help his confidence, or at least you hope so if you're Tim Miles over there. You know he's a capable shooter. He can get hot. You have to hope that that will allow him to do it now when they need it.
He had a big stretch in the non-conference, had a big game against both Wake Forest and USC that really sparked Nebraska to wins in those 2 games.
Yep. When he's knocking him down along with Talley, they have a chance.
Tim Hardaway Jr. with 7 to shoot. In the corner, the 3 from Spike Albrecht is off, and Nebraska goes the other way. The tempo in this game. Nebraska's got to feel very comfortable with this.
Well, here's the one thing they are doing well. They're taking care of the basketball. So not turning it over is forcing Michigan to have to play long stretches of defense, and it's also taking them out of their running opportunities.
Only 3 turnovers tonight for Nebraska. You see the 5 on the floor for Nebraska. They need to get a shot up with only 4 to shoot. Shields, nice catch, and he rolls to the basket for 2.
They got to be ecstatic with where they are. You're Nebraska. You're on the road against the #2 ranked team in the nation, and you're only down 1 with 4 minutes to go in the half. But you can't rest on that. There's so much work to do.
A lot of opportunities here for Michigan's potent offense to unleash as Tim Hardaway Jr. drives it up for 2.
You know, this is an undaunted Michigan team. If it's at all possible to be under the radar as the #2 team and undefeated team in the country, they're that. They just go about their business. They just work. They play defense. And sometimes it doesn't happen right away for them. But there's as patient as any young team you'll ever see. They feel like it'll come eventually.
There's Talley. They're being forced to be patient tonight by this Nebraska approach. Talley at the free throw line. A little strong, and Michigan the other way. Hardaway for 3. And the rebound to Ubell.
I don't think either one of the coaches will be happy with those last 2 shots.
And Tim Miles is going to take a 30-second timeout to discuss with his team what to do on the offensive end. Stay tuned for the State Farm halftime report. Dave Rebson and Jim Jackson will be along from our Chicago studio. They'll get you caught up on everything in the conference that's coming up at the half. And, of course, a big game to follow on BTN as Minnesota and Illinois meet up in Champaign. Illinois coming off that impressive win this weekend over Ohio State on their home floor. And the Gophers coming in riding high at 14-1 and 2-0 in the Big Ten Conference. As we look at the standings, just a couple of games in the nation's premier basketball conference, and you see Michigan, Indiana, Minnesota, Wisconsin all 2-0. And there's, of course, 3 teams ranked in the top 20 already with 1 loss in the league. It's going to be a grueling grind this year in the Big Ten.
Incredible. Hold that up there for a little while, though. Look at the victory totals. I mean, 15, 14 twice. You keep going, there's another 14, a couple of teams with 12. It has been a sensational year so far. Now they get a chance, the Big Ten teams, to beat up on each other.
When you see Iowa in there at 11 wins, but 2 losses to start off in the league.
Yep.
That Iowa team, by the time February rolls around and those young kids grow, that's going to be a basketball team that'll be a tough team to counter as well.
How about the job Tubby Smith is doing in Minneapolis? They're having the most fun and the most success they've had since 1996, that Final Four team.
Ubell got a good look there, just didn't get the roll. Tim Miles has to be pleased with that set coming out of the timeout.
That was a good shot. That was good execution. You're not going to get everything to drop, but you want quality attempts. Quality attempts allow you to get back and stretch your defense, even if you miss.
Stauskas for 3. Halfway down, and it came back up. That has not been the norm for Michigan this year. Those shots are going down. But not tonight. It's been a slow start from behind the arc. 1 for 9 from Michigan from 3. Only 9 of 27 from the floor as Gallegos' 3 is offensively rebounded by Rivers.
That's a rare offensive rebound from Nebraska.
Only their 2nd tonight, Greg.
Bails them out after a bad shot attempt.
Here's Ubell with 18 to shoot. Now Talley. Under 2 minutes to go, first half. Nebraska down just 3 on the road. Talley in some trouble in the corner.
Never a good place to be double teamed.
Gallegos can't hit the 3, and Hardaway Jr. with a rebound.
But I like that attempt by Gallegos a whole lot better than I liked his last one. At least that one came after the ball moved inside and was kicked back out. He had a little extra time, and it was a shorter 3-pointer.
Timeout on the floor. Michigan and Nebraska. An ugly slugfest and a 3-point Michigan lead. Kevin Googler, Greg Kelser back with you in Ann Arbor, where Nebraska and Michigan In a 23-20 game, Michigan just 9 of 28 from the floor. Nebraska 8 of 23. But more surprisingly, Greg, Michigan, who in 11 times this year in their 15 games have assisted on at least 50% of their made field goals, they only have 1 assist tonight in the first half.
And it doesn't belong to Trey Burke. It belongs to Hardaway Jr.
And there's Robinson. Great out-of-bounds play as Burke hits Robinson for 2.
You know that will go as an assist.
Yes, it will. So there's his first. Good thing you mentioned that right before that happened.
Got that in.
Shields in some trouble. And it's taken away by McGarry, who's played well defensively in this first half. Here's Burke all the way to the basket, but he can't get the roll. McGarry inside with the offensive board. Kept it alive. Ball knocked out of bounds off the hands of Stauskas, and it'll belong to Nebraska. The crowd didn't like it, but it looked like a good call, Greg.
Well, the official and the veteran, Ed Hightower, is right there getting a bird's eye look at it.
He was almost even with the basketball by the time he leaned against the table with the collision.
Parallel with the floor, but he kept his eye on the play.
Ubell for 3. A little bit strong. Ubell hit a couple of those on Sunday. He was 2 for 2 against Wisconsin, but now just 3 of 12 on the year.
This is one of those situations where if you're Michigan, this is a tough game for you because you're used to playing games at a much higher tempo, 80, 90-point potential games, and this does not appear to be one of them. And it's not that surprising to me because usually, Kevin, in your conference play, you get all those high-scoring games against your non-conference opponents. And then when conference play comes, it settles down because your conference scouts you, knows how to take things away, and games in the terms of pace and tempo come down dramatically. We're seeing that now with Nebraska here against Michigan.
Well, Super Wednesday continues with Minnesota and Illinois coming up next from Champaign right after our game presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. John Beilein was not at all happy with how that offensive possession was going. He used the timeout. They've got 14 to shoot and 20.4 seconds remaining in this first half. Their season low in the first half was 29 against Kansas State, a game they went on to win 71-57. But Michigan, a rare off night from the floor, just 10 of 30 and 1 of 9 from 3.
Well, the pace and tempo has taken them all out of their rhythm. They're playing so much time on defense. Time of possession, I'm sure, would favor Nebraska in this game. And Michigan has been bothered by it. But they remain very dangerous.
Especially this man right here, Trey Burke, step back for 3. And now 1 for 10 from behind the arc are the Michigan Wolverines. And well, it's been a rough night for the officials. First, Ed Hightower into the table, and Ted Valentine gets a handful of McGarry.
Given the choice, I'd take the table.
I think I would too. Jim Shipper, watch out. You're the only official that's gone untouched so far. 7.6 seconds left in the half. Talley with 2 seconds, with 1 second, and Rivers for 3 at the horn, no good, and halftime is here in Ann Arbor. And Michigan, the number 2 ranked team in the nation, with a 5-point lead at the break. Our halftime score here at the Chrysler Center, Michigan 25, Nebraska 20. Let's join Dave and Jim in our Chicago studio with the State Farm halftime report. Difference a couple of days makes for the Michigan Wolverines. Just a few days ago, they had 10 dunks in their win over Iowa. Well, they've had as many dunks on Sunday against Iowa as they did made field goals in the first half tonight. 10, and they only lead by 5 as we start the second half.
You know what? I think a good test for Michigan because, on your way to being, hopefully for them, one of the nation's best teams at the end of the year, you got to figure out ways to win games in a variety of fashion. The up and down games as well as the slow down games, you got to figure out a way to get it done. This is a slow down game playing against their philosophy.
Hardaway Jr., Robinson the third, Morgan, Burke, and Stauskas on the floor to start off this second half for Michigan. They start on offense. Just 1 for 6 down the last 4 minutes plus in the first half. But there's Trey Burke going to work inside, and he'll go to the line.
Did you see the little hesitation move right there, right here? You know who perfected that? A former Spartan, Steve Smith. That was his move, and he used to get rid of a lot of defenders with it, and Burke used it to perfection right there.
Well, Benny Parker, who picked up 2 quick fouls in that first half, now has his 3rd foul. What a task to ask Benny Parker to guard maybe the best player in college basketball.
Well, when penetration occurs, when Trey Burke gets by Parker, he's got to trust that his help will come, even if it means, you know, allowing for a drop-off. But you don't want to let Burke finish at the basket, certainly not with a 3-point opportunity.
A 7-0 Michigan run to take the 8-point lead. Huskers trying to find some offense. They didn't hit a field goal in the final 4:08 of the first half.
You always hear that first 5-minute thing of a half. Well, I think it's absolutely appropriate here, because if this thing can still be tight and at the pace Nebraska wants after 15 minutes, I think it helps their confidence and gives them a great chance. Michigan's going to try and seize control of this game here and now and put some distance between themselves and the Huskers.
Tally with 8 points after that 3. Here's Burke to the basket, and the foul will send him to the line. Gallegos called for the block.
Nebraska foul.
Nice little backdoor cut here. And again, the body control. You notice how he tried to slip that, forcing the defender to have to shift a little bit. That was a big bucket, though, that 3-pointer right there by Tally. First tally of this half for Nebraska.
I like that.
That was bad.
No, I liked it. I liked it. It wasn't a reach. It felt like it came to you in the flow. I liked that. Burke with one more attempt here. He's got 11 now. And give him 12. 77% free throw shooter. He's already having a career year in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, field goal percentage, assists and points. Now, he's just a sophomore as Gallegos tries the 3 and he hits. And that's what Nebraska has to do to stay in the game, isn't it? Hit those shots.
Now, if that becomes part of the equation, look out, Wolverines.
Huskers 4 for 12 from 3. Gallegos just his 2nd make in 7 attempts. He launched 15 against Ohio State last week as Burke is fouled by Parker, and that's 4 on Benny Parker.
Yeah, he's got his hands still. You said it a moment ago. Tall task for the little guy.
Gallegos a moment ago.
Aided by the big screen from Ubell to get the separation right there from Stauskas. There are things you can do to help your teammates that will never show up in a stat sheet, like a good screen.
Oh, nice rebound there from Robinson, and he'll go to the line on the foul. Glenn Robinson, the third, doing what Michigan did so well, especially early in that first half, and that's hit the offensive glass.
Well, he's a good offensive rebounder, high leaper, as I mentioned earlier, up high with 2 hands that time to garner that high rebound.
10th offensive rebound of this ball game. They've out-rebounded Nebraska 10-2 offensively and 24-16 overall. In other words, the advantage has all been on the offensive glass as we take a look at what Michigan's done this season and what happened in the first half tonight. You see a stark difference between the yearly average and the first half.
Nebraska's come in with a sound game plan. So much of it involved taking care of the basketball to control tempo. The question is, can they keep it going?
Tally has 8 points. Drive into the basket. Tally's bucket is good, and a foul.
Man, Dylan Tally is coming to life. Doing some nice things with the basketball. And under control right here. Gets the contact to go in his favor before the defender can get there and get set. That was close. That was bang, bang.
It was very close. Nebraska 3 for 3 from the floor in the second half after going 8 for 25 in the first half, but cannot finish the three-point play opportunity. Here's Burke. Stauskas for three. And that's a huge answer.
It's a good place to go. And you know, the thing about Stauskas, you can hold him quiet for a half. And with a lot of players, they don't come back in the second half with much. Not this guy.
Stauskas' first made three of the ball game. He's 1 for 4.
So look out, because now he can really get it going.
And there he gets the steal and the running game going. Hardaway Jr. to the bucket, and he'll go to the line.
It's what they've been waiting to do. There's the turnover, and now here comes the run. And he doesn't always have to go through Burke. As I said, Hardaway Jr. can make some things happen, but Stauskas got the turnover after getting the basket. Put some life into his team.
Tim Hardaway Jr. missing the free throw. Ubell the rebound. Critical moment, it feels like, for Nebraska right now.
You better believe it. You better believe it. The last thing they want to do is have Michigan with the basketball in its hands with a chance to go up double digits. They need to score here.
Gallegos to three. No good. Shields, though, the offensive board. He'll drive it up. No good. Gallegos with the save. He'll launch another three. Way off the mark, and Stauskas the board. Michigan starting to feel a little more comfortable offensively. Looking for their first double-digit lead of the night. Huskers have cut it to just 3 points, but a quick 5-0 burst from Michigan as Burke steps back and cannot hit. Ubell the rebound.
Good block out, good seal out, keeping Morgan away from the basket. You know, Morgan hasn't had many opportunities in this game, except for a few offensive rebounds. Very few touches.
Only one field goal attempt. He does have 7 boards, though, helping Michigan in other ways other than offense. Tally will back things out now. Huskers with the shot clock down to 10. Ubell. Rivers with 4 to shoot, and he hits the jumper.
Big bucket. Big bucket. In more ways than just what it did to the score, it also ate up some more time off that clock.
Glenn Robinson the third now. Here's Stauskas. He's starting to feel it. Great attack, and he'll go to the line.
I like the freshman. Like his confidence. Like his spunk.
Timeout on the floor. David Rivers with a bucket as the shot clock winds down. Nebraska hanging around, down just 6. Well, this is what tonight's Michigan team is chasing. A win tonight, and Michigan matches the 85-86 Wolverines for the best start in school history. This team, of course, going on under head coach Bill Frieder to win the Big Ten championship. Then they were upset in the tournament. Boy, some firepower on that squad as well, Greg Kelser.
Look at those numbers. Unbelievable numbers, and the field goal shooting percentage for a guard. Gary Grant was one of Michigan's best ever.
And not only a scorer and a rebounder, but one of the great shot blockers of the era in Roy Tarpley.
Who was an even better NBA player than he was a college player.
Free throws for Stauskas, and he misses the first. Stauskas, an 89% foul shooter. Michigan tonight, 8 of 13 at the line. He is 2 for 4, make it 3 for 5 for Stauskas at the stripe.
Probably angry at himself on the make because he got rimmed. That's the type of shooter and perfectionist he is when it comes to stroking the basketball.
But you saw in that last play that not only can he be a pull-up shooter, he's a good driver, too. Had a great, quick first step. Hardaway, numbers, and a steal by Gallegos. They had a 3-on-2, but Gallegos able to break it up. Tally the pull-up in transition. And the rebound saved in play by Tim Hardaway Jr.
2 quick shots playing right into the hands of Michigan. You had 2 opportunities there to take time off. I just believe that in order for Nebraska to win this game, it needs to be a low-scoring game, maybe in the 50s. But in order to do that, you must have discipline on the break, on the offense. If it's not there early, work your offense, because that is the price you pay.
And Burke with the bucket. And a 39-30 Michigan lead. Another big moment for Nebraska as they try to hang around, but down 9 now, and Michigan slowly starting to pull away. Gallegos, the 3. And that one's off with Hardaway Jr. the rebound. Gallegos 2 for 10 from 3.
And a collective shake of the head by the Nebraska coaching staff.
And Morgan, what a rebound!
It's been his value to his team today. His offensive rebounding and his defense work on the inside.
And Burke smartly pulls that basketball out and sets the offense.
He's unflappable. You know, even as a freshman, it was hard to get this young fellow riled up.
And there's a whistle and the foul as Morgan was trying to set the screen. And the foul on Ubell.
Look at this save right here.
And that turned into that bucket on the other end for Michigan. And the 9-point lead. 7th team foul against Nebraska. Only 1 whistled against Michigan in this second half. So for the Wolverines, from here on out, they'll be shooting free throws. Big disadvantage to Nebraska and a big advantage for John Beilein's squad. And the 1-and-1 no good. 8th free throw attempt already this half for Michigan. Ubell. Talley now trying to find somewhere to go. Nebraska's offense looking for a bucket here, down 9. The fadeaway. Got the bucket to fall. Big shot again for Nebraska.
He made it happen. Couldn't really free himself with that high screen. Eventually was able to work himself into something a little closer with his own ball handling ability.
He's got 12 leading the Huskers. 14 points for Burke. That's leading all scorers as Robinson the 3rd with the catch inside. And a foul on 1-and-1 opportunity for Glenn Robinson the 3rd. Well, on Sunday, Burke and Robinson, they lived with that. A little better result in the Sunday game than what they saw here as Robinson flying high, put on a clinic.
He's a finisher.
Stepping to the line to shoot 1-and-1 for your Wolverines.
1-and-1 opportunity for Glenn Robinson the 3rd. 69% on the year, 3 for 4 tonight. He hits the first. 6 of 9 from the line this half for Michigan.
High rising, sure-handed, lob-catching finisher right there.
This is the 2nd. Ubell the rebound. Nebraska down 8 with the ball. They trailed by 5 at the half.
You know, your goal right now for Nebraska, stay close. Stay within shouting distance. And if you're at this point near the 5-minute mark, then you can truly start thinking about ways to win the game. But you got to get there first. So what you're doing right now, between now and the next 6.5, 7 minutes of this game is critical.
Well, it's time for the Reese's perfect combination, and it's Burke and Robinson, the 2 Wolverines in double figures tonight. A combined 24 of the 40 Michigan points between those 2. Karis LeVert in, replacing Tim Hardaway Jr. The foul a moment ago on Mitch McGary, his first and the team's 2nd here in this second half. Inbound to Ubell, who gets the easy 2.
Ooh, that was really, really easy. You don't normally see that on a baseline out-of-bounds play.
6-point ball game. Michigan threatened to pull away. Nebraska able to hang around as Burke's shot is blocked out of bounds, and it'll stay with Michigan.
Here, he sets the screen, and some miscommunication by Michigan as both players go away from Ubell, leaving him totally unguarded at the basket.
Inbound McGary. Back out to Burke with 13 to shoot. Burke around the McGary screen. Again, the screen from McGary. This time for 3 for Burke. And the rebound swatted in the air, but grabbed by Ubell.
You know what? Big Almeida stepping up, showing, and not allowing Burke to turn the corner after the screen. That's bothering Burke right now, is helping Nebraska. It's keeping Burke out on the perimeter.
Burke harassing Talley. Had to get rid of it. Just got it out of his hands. 13 to shoot for Nebraska, down by 6. Talley, the pull-up 3. And Ubell trying to save the rebound, but Robinson the third with the catch. Stauskas to the basket. Stauskas with the save. Look at the play by McGarry. Here's Stauskas for 3. All hustle, and it nets a 3.
You know, that's fitting, too, because it was all hustle, and he was paid off, rewarded, Stauskas, for his hustle. And great hustle by McGarry, too. McGarry doesn't mind getting on the floor, getting bruised up.
He's disappointed if he's not. Gallegos, no good on the jumper. Look at Almeida keeping it alive for Nebraska. Here's Rivers on the drive. No good. McGarry the rebound. It's his 4th board. Here's Burke, a little hesitation. And then Rivers able to recover.
What about this pace right now? What about it? Michigan seems to be enjoying it.
Talley takes it to the basket, can't connect, and McGarry the rebound. On the run again, the Wolverines. Robinson got into trouble, and a foul's called. Well, Michigan has extended the lead to 9 thanks to some terrific hustle on the inside. Stauskas with the save. McGarry with the save. And then Stauskas with the 3 to open up the 9-point lead for Michigan with 10:33 to play in Ann Arbor. Coming up tonight, it's the finale presented by Reese's. Our guys will get you caught up on everything that happened around the conference. The finale presented by Reese's coming up at 11 p.m. Eastern. That is right after a great matchup in the second game of our doubleheader here on BTN. Minnesota and Illinois, 2 top 15 teams going head-to-head in Champaign. What a matchup coming up immediately following our broadcast here in Ann Arbor. And it's been a good game, Greg Kelser, between Michigan and Nebraska, maybe to the surprise of some and the dismay of others, mainly in maize and blue.
This has been a good game, as you know, it's really a battle for pace and style of play as much as anything. And about those Minnesota Golden Gophers, you know, the test for them will be, can they win on the road? You know they're going to be tough at Williams Arena, but can they win on the road? That will determine if they can stay ranked in that top 10, which is where they are right now.
Gallegos backs out for 3, and he hits the 3. Giant shot for Nebraska, and for Gallegos, they're back within 6.
But he's got to put some of those together, and that is important because it gets him back to a 2-possession game. But Gallegos now is 3 of 11. He can't have the droughts in between makes that he's experiencing in this game.
There's Stauskas going to work on Gallegos, driving him to the basket, and Stauskas with the finish. He's got 13. And Stauskas showing he's not just a behind-the-arc shooter. He's going to take you to the basket.
That's 6'6" driving and handling the basketball that time. Remember I said Stauskas, how good he can be in the second half? After a quiet first half, you're seeing it.
13 points, 4 rebounds for Stauskas. Here's Gallegos, so he wanted that 3, but Hardaway Jr. got right out on top of it. Gallegos again against Albrecht. 7 to shoot.
I would never tell him not to shoot, but I would tell him to just take good shots.
That one over McGarry, chased down by Hardaway Jr. Here's McGarry against Ubell. And the pass tipped out of bounds by Shields. What's Michigan looking for here, Greg?
Well, I think Michigan's still looking to get penetration. Even with Burke out of the lineup, you still want penetration. Maybe not able to finish, but you get kickouts for your good shooters, Hardaway Jr. and Stauskas. You get open looks for them.
Stauskas has been the aggressor. He'll shoot the 3. A little bit strong that time, and Rivers the rebound. Here's Parker playing with 4 fouls. He's had a rough night, especially on the defensive end against Burke, who's about ready to come back into the game.
Not saying that Stauskas can't, but those 3-pointers are a little bit different when your feet are not set and you're having to try and create them off of a dribble.
Parker. 13 to shoot. Shields inside. Got tied up. Possession arrow will keep it with the Huskers. Talley will check in for Nebraska as Burke and Levert return. And as Burke enters, Parker leaves for the Huskers. Coincidence?
Well, I definitely think, you favor the matchup right there now.
Gallegos, quick jumper, and he hits the 2 to bring Nebraska within 6 again.
That game, they don't look like a team, that they got drilled against Illinois and, Ohio State, and then lost a 6-point disappointer, scoring just 41 points against the Badgers.
Burke to Levert, open 3. No good. Shields battling for the rebound, keeps it alive to Talley.
Harris Levert's a good shooter. Showed it in the game against Central Michigan when he actually got a start for an injured Hardaway Jr. Scored 9.
And there's a turnover. Glenn Robinson the third. Look out! Timeout taken by Nebraska after the turnover and the absolutely fabulous flush from Glenn Robinson the third. He gives Michigan the 8-point lead. Super Wednesday continues with Minnesota and Illinois coming up next from Champaign right after our game presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Kevin Kugler alongside Greg Kelser. Michigan leading by 8 after that thunderous dunk from Glenn Robinson the third. And, well, you see the difference first half and second half. Still Michigan's offense not clicking at the rate they've been clicking for most of the year, but things a little bit better in the second half.
Well, I think what's happening is the pace is starting to shift in their direction a little bit. And that last turnover certainly did not help. And Tim Miles was forced to call that timeout because this crowd was up. This place was exploding. He had to settle things down, and the best way he could do it after that was to get the timeout.
Nebraska's had no fast break points, no points off turnovers tonight. Down by 8. All things considered is pretty good.
They can't hurt themselves, though, by turning it over and allowing Michigan to go the other way uncontested.
Well, you got the crowd into it here in the Chrysler Center. That was the loudest roar of the night.
Yep.
Here's Gallegos, the 3. And he hits with 7 to shoot. Ray Gallegos brings Nebraska within 5. He's got 14.
The thing about him, it's the danger of what he's capable of. And he's starting to heat up, so you're feeling good about that if you're Nebraska. That was a huge basket.
Here's Levert for 3. And the tip jam by Robinson. From nowhere to slam it home.
He came from nearly the 3-point line. That's where he came from. And no one ever saw him, so they never got a body on Robinson. Michigan's last 2 buckets, highlight reel material.
And this crowd responding. Shields trying to quiet the crowd. You couldn't even hear the whistle on the foul whistle by Ed Hightower. McGarry with his second personal foul. And Robinson flying from nowhere to slam it home, energizing the crowd and adding to the lead. BTN Basketball is presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, your destination for Big Ten Network games. Also in part by State Farm. For auto, home, life, and banking, get to a better state. And by Case IH. Be ready with agronomic design from Case IH. Visit caseih.com/agronomic design. Well, you see the banner of the 1985 and 1986 Big Ten champions. They're chasing this Michigan squad, the best start from that 85-86 team. 16-0 was the start for Michigan in 85-86. If they win this one, they match that start. But it's been a little tougher task tonight than I think they expected. Nebraska really battled on the road. And Shields misses both free throws. Rivers the offensive board for the Huskers. Nebraska down by 7 with 6:20 to play. They trailed by 5 at halftime. Shields to Gallegos. Talley, the three. In and out. Rivers battling for the rebound. McGarry diving on the floor for it. A whistle as bodies are separated. The tie-up and the possession arrow to Michigan. And who would have guessed McGarry with another hustle play?
You better be careful. They'll start recruiting him for the football team.
6 rebounds and a cheerleading scholarship as well for McGarry as he's getting his crowd into it.
If it's on the floor, he'll go down there for it. And look at this. I mean, he's like a bowling ball taking pins out along with this hustle. This crowd's going to love him, going to love that type of energy and hustle for years to come here in Ann Arbor.
Just a freshman, came in tied with Glenn Robinson III for the top rebounding freshman in the Big Ten. Well, in that battle right now, McGarry and Robinson still tied. 6 boards apiece. Hardaway Jr. with the pull-up. Battle for the rebound is knocked out of bounds off of Benny Parker's hands, and it'll stay with Michigan. Well, a moment ago, as we went to break with the Glenn Robinson III bucket, our Verizon key connection off the Levert miss. The connection from Glenn Robinson III, adding to the second chance points advantage that Michigan has tonight, 17-2, outscoring Nebraska. McGarry inside, and his first 2 points of the night give Michigan the 9-point lead.
But right now, you won't measure him by his points. He does so many other things to help his teammates. McGarry does. And his impact in this game up to this point goes way beyond the 2 points he just scored.
Shields with 15 to shoot. Nebraska down 9, trying to quiet the crowd and find a bucket. 6 to shoot. Gallegos the long 3. Ubell, offensive rebound. Cannot finish. McGarry was there to change the shot. Now Michigan looking for that double-digit lead. It's been elusive tonight. Hardaway banging into Ubell. They'll wave the shot off. The foul on Ubell, a block. And free throws will be shot for Michigan as Ubell gets his 3rd.
Well, another close play that goes this time in favor of Michigan as
That's his 3rd.
Hardaway Jr. and Ubell collide.
For your Wolverines is number 10, Tim Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr. at the free throw line. Ubell seemed that the lower end of your screen was holding his right elbow as he came down. Kind of rubbing that and grimacing a little bit in pain. Before that McGarry bucket a moment ago, Greg, he's the first guy to score not named Burke, Hardaway, Robinson, or Stauskas. Those guys normally 72.5% of the Michigan offense, 100% of the offense before that McGarry bucket tonight.
Yeah, that was a bit surprising because Michigan's a well-balanced team, and with Trey Burke out there on the floor, everybody's a threat.
Michigan now leading by 11. Largest lead and an 8-2 run from Michigan, and there's a foul called against McGarry, and that'll be his 3rd.
Now, you're under 5 minutes, under 4.5 if you're Nebraska. Now you can start pulling out your stops. Now you can start truly going for the win. I still think it needs to be done with intelligence. In other words, your 3-point shots need to be good shots. But now you can, and even speeding up the tempo a little bit, you can start trying to work for the win now.
Still only 14 fouls against Michigan as Gallegos fades away and hits the 2. Gallegos 6 of 18 from the floor, 4 of 14 from 3. He's got 16 points in the timeout taken by the Huskers.
Played well. He has played well. Hasn't shot it as well as he's capable from beyond 3-point land. But you can tell this is the move of a man playing with confidence right now. Gets to his spot on the dribble, elevates, and drains it.
Well, Gallegos, not a guy who's afraid to shoot the ball.
Yeah,
we mentioned earlier against Ohio State, he shot 15 times from behind the arc. He's shot 14 threes tonight. And we talked about the 4 stars for Michigan leading the way. Well, Talley and Gallegos have 28 of Nebraska's 44 points.
You know what? If you're my shooter, then I'm never going to tell you not to shoot. I don't care if you're 0 for 10. All I'm going to ask is that you take good shots. So take makeable shots. Don't force anything. And you can shoot as much as you want, because if you're my shooter, I trust that you're going to eventually find your rhythm.
You saw the guys from the Journey on the floor. They've been following Nebraska around. Don't forget Sunday night, the end. This unbelievable premiere, BTN's award-winning original, The Journey, Sunday at 8 Eastern, presented by Chase Freedom. What a great first episode this will be. Coach Miles mic'd up. We'll hear what he has to say on The Journey. Sunday night.
He brought his team in here today well prepared, I'll tell you that.
Burke driving past Talley. Nice little spin by Burke and gets the two.
He just knows where he is at all times. He knows where the defense is at all times, and he has the ability to make the necessary adjustments to get himself out of impending disaster or trouble.
Wild three by Ubell, and Burke will jog it up. Burke reminds me, Greg, of a baseball closer. Comes into the game unrattled. Doesn't look like his blood pressure or his heart rate ever elevates. He's just always so even keel and calm.
Well, if that's the case, you know what his name was? Mariano Rivera. Yeah, Mariano Rivera. That would be Burke.
Tim Hardaway Jr., 7 to shoot. On the drive past Ubell. Can't get the roll. There's Morgan with the offensive board, and it'll stay with the Wolverines. 16 offensive rebounds for Michigan, and Trey Burke with 16 points. His final 2 of the night so far on that little turnaround. Michigan by 11. All right, Dave, thank you very much. This is why, Greg Kelsey, this is why you come back to college for your senior year. Taylor Lewan announcing earlier that the great left tackle is coming back to play football. He gets to direct the band and hail to the victors at the basketball game on the day of his announcement. Those are the kinds of things that you get to do when you come back to college for your senior year.
And you know what? He halfway looks like he knows what he's doing.
Oh, I mean, you know, you don't get to the level he's at without picking up a little something here and there. Michigan with the ball, the 11-point lead, trying to close it out and match the best start in school history. It's 16-0.
You know, they have only 3 turnovers tonight. To me, that is just fantastic for a team that's young like this. But it all starts with the guy with the ball right now, Trey Burke, who finally turned it over.
As you talk about it, here's Gallegos driving against Hardaway Jr. The bucket is good, and a foul. Gallegos with the take. Count the bucket, and he'll go to the line for a chance at a 3-point play.
That was a dynamite play at the basket. Watch as he protects the basketball by extending it to his off arm away from the defense, takes some contact, and gets it to go. This is a big free throw. Nebraska's still very much in this game with 2:32 to go. As I said, they can start taking some chances now, even some gambles on defense, to try to win this game. They've played it close. They've exceeded expectations, but now you're looking to win this game.
Stauskas against Gallegos. 2 free throws the rest of the way for every Nebraska foul from Michigan. Big advantage for the Wolverines. Hardaway Jr. spinning on Rivers, and there's a foul, and he'll go to the line for 2. First foul on Rivers. Nebraska well over the limit. As you see the game trends tonight, offensive rebounds, second chance points leading the way for Michigan, and that offensive rebounding number just 2 shy of their season high. They had 18 against Arkansas.
Yeah, it started early, too. It started very early, the troubles that Nebraska would have on their defensive window. And if they do not win this basketball game, they're going to look squarely at that stat right there, the offensive rebounding of Michigan.
Well, Michigan with the timeout after the first miss at the line. 12 for 21 tonight for Michigan at the free throw line. Super Wednesday, don't forget, it continues with Minnesota and Illinois coming up next from Champaign right after our game presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. And I was at Illinois on Saturday for Ohio State with Jim Jackson, who was back in the studio tonight with Dave. And that Illinois team, coming off of a very disappointing loss to Purdue, seem to be able to get everything put together. They had the outside game, which you expect, but they got some inside play, and it'll be real intriguing to see if that inside game can work tonight against the inside game and the strength of Minnesota.
Yeah, you're right. And you know, the thing that I think every team in this conference is going to need to be this year is resilient. Because you're going to take some hits. Conference is too good, too stacked not to. Your ability to bounce back and not let a one-game loss become a 2- or 3-game winning streak will be critical.
Michigan 8 of 15 in the second half at the line. Hardaway Jr. going back for one more. He's 2 for 4. He's got 10 points, 8 rebounds tonight. And makes the second. A 56-47 lead for Michigan as we approach 2 minutes to play here in Ann Arbor. Talley against Morgan. Shields for 3. Can't connect. Morgan the rebound. Shields only 1 for 12 from 3, but Nebraska gets a huge turnover.
Well, believe it or not, the guy I would be looking for are the guys who hit the three-pointers for you all year, and that's Talley taking it right there, and Gallegos. Gallegos cannot get lost in this situation. He's got to make himself available, and his teammates need to understand that he needs to shoot the basketball.
Michigan content to burn a little clock here. 90 seconds to play.
Nebraska's letting them burn it. So if this is the case, you know what you're saying? We're putting it all on our defense, and we're going to get a stop. You had better get a stop and a rebound here, losing all this valuable time.
Hardaway Jr. with 4 to shoot. The little runner. Got it.
Devastating. Damaging possession if you're in Nebraska, because you did not get the stop, and you allowed a lot of time to tick off.
Talley needs some help, and he gets it from his sideline. The timeout taken by Nebraska with 59.9 seconds to go. And what a huge end to this possession for Michigan.
Well, we've had several times to watch that it doesn't always have to be with Burke as the creator. Hardaway Jr., Stauskas, they can put the ball on the floor and get some of their own offense.
58-47. Our Motel 6 sixth man of the game tonight, David Rivers. 4 points, 4 rebounds, and 1 block. The bench scoring has been almost non-existent tonight for these two teams. 4-0. Nebraska has outscored Michigan on the bench. Tim Miles frantically trying to figure out a way to make up an 11-point deficit with 59.9 seconds to go, and he's not going to see any moral victories, Greg. You played this game too long to know that that doesn't happen, but his team has really competed in a very difficult place to play against an excellent basketball team tonight.
I don't think there would have been too many people that would have given them a chance to stay in this game, yet they have stayed in this game.
Gallegos, the 3. A little bit strong, long rebound. Talley had it, and it's taken away. Hardaway Jr. behind the back pass to Robinson, and a little juggle out of bounds. It'll stay with Michigan. Everybody standing up thinking this might turn into something big again. Only 6 assists tonight for Michigan on 21 makes. A team that came into this averaging 20.5 assists to just 9 turnovers a game in Big Ten play. It's a real rare off night all the way around. And how much of that do you credit Nebraska's defense?
I give Nebraska a lot of credit. You know, when we talked to Tim Miles before the game, we said, you know, hey, your defense has been sound through 15 games. You got to figure out ways to score, obviously, but, you know, their defense, which limited Wisconsin to 47, gave them a chance to win that game. You're going to win most games that you hold your opponent to 47 points. I don't care where the game is played.
Well, be sure you stick around. Super Wednesday presented by Buffalo Wild Wings with Minnesota and Illinois next. Good lead off here in Ann Arbor. And then Minnesota and Illinois will cap our night here of games with the finale to follow that game. It's a huge basketball night.
It is.
On Super Wednesday. How many times are we going to say that this year on BTN, though?
Every week.
Every week, it's going to be great. Our Quicken Loans amazing performance, Trey Burke, 17 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, the reigning Big Ten Player of the Week. 18.2 points per game on the year. He has 18 points tonight. Took him a little work to get there. 6 of 16 shooting for Burke, but he's got his 18.
If you want to be a great team, Yeah, you love playing games in the 90s and the 80s and winning those games, but if you want to be a great team, you'll figure out ways to win games in the 50s, and that's what's happening for Michigan in this game.
Tallies 3, an air ball caught by Hardaway Jr., and then a foul. Bell grabbing the arm of Hardaway and saying didn't mean to do anything vigorous. Hardaway with a nod. Everybody's fine. No march for free throws.
That's his 4. Stepping the line out is
Tim Hardaway Jr. with that rebound a moment ago, Greg. His 4th career double-double. 13 points, 11 rebounds.
Sound player. He's known success here at Michigan. Michigan getting their first Big Ten championship last year in a very long time. He's a big part of that, obviously. That man's a big part of it, too.
No question, and he is 28 seconds away from his 400th win as a Division I head coach. And this is not only about to match the best start in Michigan basketball history, it's the best start ever for any of his teams. 35 years as a head coach at all levels. This is about to be the best start he's ever had. Never been an assistant, always a head coach. And 16-0 will be the best start he's ever had as Morgan tries to keep it in play and does so, hustling to the very end, this Michigan squad. And they're going to go 16-0. The Wolverines have matched the best start in Michigan history. 16-0, and perfection remains in Ann Arbor. The final score tonight, Michigan 62, Nebraska 47. That'll do it from Ann Arbor. Once again, our final, Michigan 62, Nebraska 47. The Wolverines stay unbeaten at 16-0. For Greg Kelser, I'm Kevin Kugler. Now let's send you to Dave Remsen and Jim Jackson in our Chicago studio with a game break.